What comes to mind when you think of a genre-defining Western? Maybe you think of Clint Eastwood taking out 4 men at once in a fistful of dollars. Or maybe the iconic theme from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly comes to mind. But what you probably didn't think of was...
RANGo, 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 RANGo.
In an oversaturated genre of cliché Western films, Rango stands alone as a subversive masterpiece that not only breaks the mold, but propels it to new heights in a familiar yet fresh take on the genre we know all too well.
Achieving the impossible, Rango managed to blend the cute and family-friendly tone of an animated animal film with the trademark grit of a classic Western to create an Oscar-winning phenomenon that hasn't been replicated since.
Through the breaking of both established archetypes, Rango manages to play on our expectations of each to create something that feels truly unique in both categories.
Why don't we take a deep dive into this tragically overlooked gem through an archetypical lens and discover how Rango plays on our expectations of each genre to create a hybrid of both, managing to blend their unmistakable charm while redefining what animated and Western films really could be.
With a notion to kill, RANGo, 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 RANGO.
Now, it's no secret that most talking animal films are specifically geared towards kids. Films like Illumination's Sing and DreamWorks Pictures' Kung Fu Panda all present us with these conventional characters, showing us cute and overall visually appealing designs. Rango decides to take that archetype of classic cute and cuddly and flip it on its head. Rango introduces us to a world full of unique characters with a distinctive, gritty Western aesthetic. As Josh Keefe said in his analysis of the film, every single character is practically oozing with personality and invites you to think of some of the many stories outside the one of Rango. Take the Scorpion Fellow, for example. With only 10 seconds of screen time, you get a glimpse into a different tale of a rough and tumbling outlaw who maybe lost his stinger in a bar fight and had to replace it with a fishing hook just to keep up his rugged facade. Each and every character is like this, and the designs of the character thrive off their asymmetries, which adds a sense of realism to the animation you just don't get in other films. Even the method of animation strays from the classic archetype of other pictures. For Rango, director Gore Verbinski utilized an unconventional style of animation called motion capture, where, instead of having the actors come in and voice their characters in a sterile sound booth, Verbinski set up the scene on a soundstage and had the actors play out the scenes instead. Using this unorthodox style of animation, Gore Verbinski and the animation team behind this masterpiece could capture the way the actors moved in their roles, adding a more human feel to the characters. With all of these techniques, Rango achieves an out-of-the-box style of animation, which, though not traditional, still remains compelling and original.
To say that Rango is heavily inspired by classic Western films would be an understatement. The entire film, from start to finish, is soaked in references to films that came before it. Some notable examples would be Rattlesnake Jake's design paying homage to another Western villain, Angel Eyes. Rango's final act look is also based off of the classic Clint Eastwood Western fit, and the appearance of Clint Eastwood himself just tops it all off. These choices aren't just fan service or lazy writing, they're intentional. When you walk into a Western movie, or any movie for that matter, you bring with you a set of expectations. You expect a gruff, gritty hero of few words, a tense saloon scene where the hero shows what he's made of, and a climactic showdown between good and evil on a street in the middle of the town. These cliché components of the Western genre have been a staple since its conception, an essential part of the very well-established archetype. Director Gore Verbinski, who was fully aware of these almost vital tropes, demonstrated a near-perfect method of positively subverting these deep-rooted expectations of the audience through the usage of tone. Let's take the saloon scene, for example. Being one of the most recognizable Western tropes, the audience knows exactly what to expect when they see those iconic double doors. But what Rango delivers is much different. Instead of the expected hero shows what he's made of scene, Rango is a timid, eccentric outsider with no idea what's going on around him. This entire scene is hilarious. Rango fumbles around, juggling different stories, trying desperately to make himself look like the tough cowboy he says he is. This scene works so well because of the archetype already set in place. Rango relies on the previous knowledge of the audience in order to break the mold, and show an out-of-place character trying to blend into an environment we know so well. These moments are littered throughout the film, from Rango's completely coincidental shoot-up victory to his hastily assembled posse. Even smaller details like the horses being roadrunners and Rango's awkward one-liners contribute to this substantial shift in tone. Through this usage of tone, Rango is able to take a well-established archetype and create fresh and compelling scenes out of old, overused tropes. This is the genius of Rango's usage of the Western genre, and the reason it stands alone as, well, ironically, one of the most original Western films to date.
We've already established how Rango strays from the beaten path in terms of both animal animation and Western films. Its departure from the tried-and-true formula of cute, perfect, and marketable characters to the rugged, gritty, and asymmetrical look it's become known for,
along with its usage of classic Western tropes to create a new, innovative creation out of the ashes of the Western genre, Rango breaks the mold in almost every way. What's equally, if not more impressive, is the way it blends the core ideas of each genre together to truly get the best of both worlds. Defying all odds, Rango manages to take these two seemingly polar opposite genres to create a hybrid that displays the best parts of both.
While animated animal flicks remain consistent for their stunning visuals, cute designs, and very marketable characters, one far greater underlying element remains consistent, that being the lesson the characters learn, which can be applicable to every member of the audience. Whether it's a film about an overweight panda learning the value of self-worth, to a bunny cop learning the importance of teamwork and trust, every animated film teaches us a life lesson. This essential attribute is what makes these films really shine and resonate with the audience. The character learns, grows, and changes along with us, as we realize the same lesson they learn is just as valuable in our lives. Rango may stray from any sort of animated cliché, but holds true to the reason these films still succeed. Rango's struggle with self-identity is more prominent than anything else in the film, and because of this, viewers can empathize with him. This is the reason animated films are so compelling, and the reason Rango is no different.
The Western genre first began because of how cheap it was to send a cast and crew into the desert to film a movie, but it continued on because of the unique feel of grit and adventure it brought to the table. Western films invite the audience to explore a world devoid of the comforts we enjoy, where the only survivor is the one with more guts and a faster trigger finger. While the intrigue of this atmosphere may have worn away, Rango brings it back to life with its incredibly unique character designs and atmosphere. This sense of wonder and intrigue is only heightened as each character reflects the grit and personality only found in a Western film. The Town of Dirt is about as Western as they come, with every character boasting a rough, jagged facade that would only have been achieved through hours of careful design. While it may be an animated kids' film, Rango is wrapped from head to toe in the same magic and feel that made Westerns before it compelling. This being the same reason that Rango retains that feel that only a Western can accomplish.
Every genre is well known for something. These strengths are often well established and used again and again because of how well they work. But when these strengths are piled together, you get a superpower that boasts the best part of each genre, which, in the end, manages to create something new in itself.
Rango manages to pull off this incredible balancing act, as it juggles two genres, breaks their archetypes, yet manages to blend the best parts of both into a film that truly deserves the praise.
In the end, Rango is remembered as a prime example of what a film that dares to break the mold can look like, pushing every aspect to the limit of its creative potential while still remaining steadfast in the core of these genres. This surreal work of art will be remembered for many things and described in many ways, but maybe Johnny Depp as Rango himself said it best.
Name's Rango.